we did 9.2. This is what we did on the second half of math yesterday during flex. If you were not here yesterday, I would like you guys to follow along through the lesson. If you were here yesterday and you understand how to do today's lesson, go ahead and start on the homework. If not, again, follow through this lesson. So for those who understood, start your homework now. So today's lesson, or what we did in the second half of yesterday, is 9.2, solving systems of equations using the substitution method. This method, a lot of people like better. It's a lot more accurate and it takes a lot less steps because you don't have to do any graphing. So, remember, a system of equations is when you have two or more equations with the same variables, x and y. And the goal of the system of equations is to figure out what x and y are for both equations that would fit at the same time. In this case, the solution that will fit into both equations is 3, -2. We learned yesterday that one method is to graph both equations, find the intersection of both lines, and that's your answer. Today, we're going to be learning the substitution method. The substitution method basically is when we substitute one equation into the other equation. So if you look at number 1, y equals to 2x. The second equation is x plus 3y equals 14. Since we know that y equals 2x, what I can simply do is substitute this into the other equation for where y is. Y is equal to 2x. So I'm going to substitute that. And I get x plus 3 times 2x equals 14. Because I'm going to substitute in y for 2x. What I then do is I then simplify this and solve. X plus 6x equals 14. Simplifies to 7x equals 14. Therefore, x equals 2. Oops. That's not my final answer. I have to figure out what y is equal to. So how do I figure out what y is equal to? I substitute this or plug this back into there to figure out what y is. So if x is equal to 2, what does y have to equal to? Y should equal to 4. But I don't write my equation like that. My equation, or my answer at the end, is 2, 4. So let's see if you truly understand this. Let me go on to number 2. So for number 2, x equals y minus 3, and 5x plus 3y equals 1 is the second equation. And I know my first equation, x is supposed to equal y minus 3. So what can I do with that? I can simply substitute x equals y minus 3 into my second equation. This is equal to x. So I'm going to simply put it in where x is. As a result, I get this. 5 times y minus 3 plus 3y equals 1. I then simplify this. Get 8y equals 16, therefore y equals 2. That's not my solution. That's only 1/2 of my solution. I still have to figure out what x is equal to. So how do I do that? I simply plug this back into there. So if I plug in 2 into y, what is x equal to? X is equal to -1. So how do I write my final solution? X is -1, y is 2. That's my solution. Let's continue, guys. Let's do a couple more. Now, looking at 3 of x plus y equals 12 and 2x plus 5y equals 27. This is a little more difficult because I don't have a variable by itself on the left-hand side. So how do I change this? Well, I want to change the equation that's the easiest to get a variable by itself. And what I did is I changed the top equation and got y by itself. So x plus y equals 12 becomes y equals 12 minus x. Could I have done it differently? Could I have gotten x by itself? Yes, I could have. It doesn't really matter. You still get the same answer at the end. But for the purposes of what I've done right now, I'm going to stick with y equals 12 minus x. So I know that y equals 12 minus x. I'm going to substitute that 12 minus x into the second equation for y. I then get 2x plus 5 times 12 minus x equals 27. I then do the distributive property. I then simplify this. I then get x equals 11. Okay, so if I know x is equal to 11, I still have to figure out what y is. So I can substitute this all the way here. So if x is equal to 11, y has to equal to 1. So what's my solution? 11, 1. You can always check if this works by plugging 11, 1 into the two original equations. It should work. If not, you must have done something incorrectly along the way. For our last problem, let's do number 4. So I have to make a choice here. I can choose either equation to get a variable by itself. For this problem, I chose to get y by itself on the top equation. So I get y equals negative 2x plus 9. I then substitute in negative 2x plus 9 into the bottom equation. I substitute it in. I then get x plus 4 times negative 2x plus 9 equals 1. I then do the distributive property. I then simplify it. X equals 5. So since I know x equals 5, I have to find y still. And I do that by substituting it into the top equation. If I do that, my answer for y should equal to negative 1. So the solution for this system of equations should be 5, negative 1. So this is what we did yesterday, guys. The substitution method, a lot of people like this better, a lot less work than the graphing method, and gets you a more accurate answer because in the graphing method, there are so many factors of inaccuracy. So hopefully you guys understood the lesson a little better. You guys can start the homework now, and then I'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend, guys. Start the homework.